Hello and welcome to UEFA Europa League and UEFA Conference League semi-final second leg football review. Here we're going to talk about what went down at the Villa Park between Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest, while Freiburg hosts Braga in the second leg. Over in Conference League, Crystal Palace faces Shakhtar Donetsk while Strasbourg faces Rayo Vallecano. Let's analyze what went down together. Over in Villa Park, full-time score, Aston Villa 4, Nottingham Forest 0. Aston Villa win 4-1 on aggregate and move to the final, as John McGinn double complete semi-final turnaround. Aston Villa will play in the Europa League final, having overturned the first leg deficit with a second leg rout over Nottingham Forest. John McGinn's quick-fire second-half double rounded off a stunning Europa League semi-comeback for Aston Villa, who won the second leg 4-0 to triumph 4-1 on aggregate. Having lost the first leg 1-0 to Chris Wood penalty, Villa were a difficult side on home soil, with Ollie Watkins and Emiliano Buendia also on target in an emphatic triumphing. Omari Hutchison sent an early sighter wide for Forest, but it was all Villa from there, with Stefan Ortega denying Pau Torres and Buendia early on. But Villa drew level on aggregate in the 36th minute after Forest failed to fully clear a long ball over the top. The host pressure paid off and Buendia danced away from two defenders to square on Watkins, who fired him from close range. Ortega again denied Watkins before the break, but it was not until the 58th minute that Villa took the lead in the tie. Following a VAR review, the referee pointed to the spot after Nikola Milinkovic was deemed to pull back Torres in the box, and Buendia converted from 12 yards. Watkins had a second ruled out shortly after, having failed to get back onside before lifting his low shots over Ortega's outstretched leg, with the offside flag immediately raised. Wood saw a low shot smothered by Emiliano Martinez as Forest sought an equalizer, but McGinn ended their hopes of getting back into the match with 2 goals in 3 minutes. Watkins cushioned the ball back into McGinn's path in the 77th minute, and he coolly swept into the bottom left corner from the edge of the box. His second was similarly dispatched into an opposite corner that sent Villa Park into raptures and booked their place in Istanbul. Full-time score, Aston Villa 4, Nottingham Forest 0. Aston Villa 4-1, winners on aggregates. Over in Germany, Freiburg, the game between Freiburg and Braga. Full-time score, Freiburg 3, Braga 1. Freiburg advanced 4-3 on aggregate and moved to the Europa League final, as Kubler books Europa League final place after Dorgiles' red card. Freiburg will play Aston Villa in their first ever European final, having overturned a first leg deficit against Braga in the semis. Lukas Kubler scored the decisive goal as Freiburg earned 3-1 win over 10-man Braga in the Europa League semi-final second leg to reach the final with a 4-3 aggregate victory. Having trailed 2-1 from the first leg, Freiburg took advantage of Mario Dorgiles' early red card to turn the tie around before holding off late Braga fight back. Dorgiles, who was the hero last week with a 92nd minute winner, was on the Europa Park Stadium pitch for just 6 minutes when he clumsily brought down Nicolas Beste as the last man, resulting in a straight red. Braga attempted to add to their tally despite their numerical disadvantage, but Kubler scored in the 90th minute as Demir Ege Tiknaz's attempt clearance bounced off his knee. The visitors then gave Johan Manzambi too much space outside the box. He cut inside from the left and curled a stunning finish into the top right corner to double Freiburg's lead. On the stroke of halftime, Victor Gomez snuck the post as Braga sought a goal, and Rodrigo Zalazar could only hit the covering defender on the rebound, with Noah Atubolu caught off this line. Vincenzo Grifo also hit the woodwork shortly after the break, while Lucas Horniech made a superb double save to keep out Beste, and Igor Matanovic in a quick succession, but Kubler got his second 71 minutes in to make sure of the victory, nodding in Philip Theroux's free kick. Paul Victor set up a nervy ending with a 79th minute close-range header, but an Atubolu save to deny Gabri Martinez in the 6th minute of stoppage time was the moment that booked a place in the final against Aston Villa in Istanbul. Full-time score: Freiburg 3, Braga 1, Freiburg 4-3 winners on aggregate. And now we move to Conference League results. In the semi-final second leg fixtures, Crystal Palace 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 1. Crystal Palace advanced with a 5-2 aggregate, as Sarr helps send Glasner's side to a Conference League final. Crystal Palace reached their first European final with a victory over Shakhtar Donetsk, with Ismaila Sarr once again on target on Thursday. Crystal Palace booked their place in the Conference League final following a 2-1 second leg victory over Shakhtar Donetsk, which sealed a 5-2 triumph on aggregate. After seeing Iguinaldo's strike cancel out Pedro Henrique's own goal, Ismaila Sarr sealed the win early in the second half to send Palace to Leipzig on May 27th, where they will take on La Liga side Rayo Vallecano, which we soon will analyze. After weathering Shakhtar's fast start, which saw Kaoa Elias and Iguinaldo go close, Palace thought they had taken the lead in the 10th minute when Yeremy Pino raced onto Jean-Philippe Mateta's header before finishing, but the goal was ruled out for offside. However, the Eagles got themselves ahead 15 minutes later after Daniel Munoz's cross from the right was deflected into the own net by Pedro Henrique after Adam Wharton had forced a smart stop by Dimitro Riznik. But Shakhtar hit back in some style through Iguinaldo, who collected Henrique's incisive pass before taking a touch and brilliantly finding the top left corner in the 34th minute. Mateta then struck the right post with an acrobatic bicycle kick a minute before the break, but Palace retook the lead 7 minutes after the restart through Sarr, who steered Tyrick Mitchell's cross in off the woodwork. Palace comfortably held on to their advantage in the second half of a few chances, but the full-time whistle was greeted by huge cheers as Oliver Glasner was handed the opportunity to bring the curtain down on his Selhurst Park tenure with a trophy as the Eagles prepared to play in the first ever European final, in which it ended Crystal Palace 2, Shakhtar Donetsk 1, 5-2 win on aggregate for the English side. And now we move to the final fixture in the Europa League, in the UEFA Conference League semi-final, second leg, between Strasbourg and Rayo Vallecano. Strasbourg 0, Rayo Vallecano 1. Rayo Vallecano win 2-0 on aggregate, as Alemao tees up Crystal Palace showpiece in Leipzig. Rayo Vallecano joined Crystal Palace in their first European final after beating Strasbourg to reach the Conference League showpiece. Rayo Vallecano will play Crystal Palace in the Conference League final after Alemao's first half strike sealed a 1-0 second leg win, which confirmed a 2-0 victory on aggregate. Rayo will take on Oliver Glasner's side on May 27th in Leipzig, but they needed Augusto Batalla to save a late penalty from Julio Enciso to ensure there were no